Please rise for invocation. Is Pastor Mike here? No, there he is.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we come into this gathering of the meeting of the city leadership, Father, as we discuss business here tonight, Lord, I want to first of all thank you, Lord, for such a blessed city as Port Orange is. I want to thank you for the leadership of the city, and I pray a blessing upon the mayor and each council member and each person, Lord, who leads in this city. Father, that you would guide them and direct them, Father, in your truth. Father, so that this city can continue, Lord, to remain blessed. Father, I pray for tonight's proceedings. Father, Lord, that everything goes according to your plan, decently and in order. And Father, I just pray that you would just continue, Lord, to watch over this city, Father, as you have in the past. We thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Grubbs,
Present.
Councilman Bastian,
Here.
Councilman Stiltner,
Here.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
All are present. Here, all are present. We have a full quorum. First order of business is the Town Center CRA regular meeting. With that regards, I will turn the gavel over to the Town Center CRA Chairman Foley.
All right. I call the regular meeting of the Port Orange Town Center Community Redevelopment Agency to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Reed Foley,
Here.
Donald Burnett,
Here.
Drew Bastian,
Here.
Scott Stiltner,
Here.
Tracy Grubbs,
Here.
Michael Benedict,
Here.
Michael's here. Are there any objections to the notice of this meeting? Hearing no objection, the notice is accepted. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 31st, 2023 meeting and meetings of the Port Orange Town Center Community Redevelopment Agency?
So moved.
Second. All right. I have a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Reed Foley,
Yes.
Donald Burnett,
Yes.
Drew Bastian,
Yes.
Scott Stiltner,
Yes.
Tracy Grubbs,
Yes.
Michael Benedict.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 6-0, I believe. Item 3 is on the board here. Let's see. Resolution number 23-1 for the Port Orange Town Center CRA Tax Increment District Fiscal Year 2024 operating budget. May I have a motion on item 3?
Move to approve item 3, resolution number 23-1.
Second it.
All right. I have a motion. I have a second on the floor. Are there any comments from CRA members? No one? All right. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this? All right. Back to us. Final comments. Anyone on the CRA? All right. The clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Reed Foley,
Yes.
Donald Burnett,
Yes.
Drew Bastian,
Yes.
Scott Stiltner,
Yes.
Tracy Grubbs,
Yes.
Michael Benedict.
Yes.
All right. Again, 6-0. Is there any further business to be brought before us tonight? All right. Seeing none, I'm going to adjourn this meeting and we'll pass the gavel back to the mayor for our special joint meeting with City Council.
Thank you, Chairman Foley. The joint special meeting of the Port Orange City Council and the CRA is now in session, and ask for a roll call for the members of the Town Center CRA.
Chairman Reed Foley,
Here.
Donald Burnett,
Here.
Drew Bastian,
Here.
Scott Stiltner,
Here.
Tracy Grubbs,
Here.
Michael Benedict,
Here.
And you have the roll call of the City Council.
Mayor Burnett,
Here.
Drew Bastian,
Here.
Scott Stiltner,
Here.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Here.
Tracy Grubbs,
Here.
All are here. We have a quorum for both. The joint session is now in progress. Are there any objections to the notice of the meeting? Hearing none, the notice of the meeting is accepted. With that, I'll be opening the item for joint discussion by the City Council and CRA. Chairman Foley will also be calling vote for the CRA, and I will be calling a vote for the City Council. With that, item C2, Resolution 23-29. And here we go. Resolution 23-29 is the Down Under Master Plan. I need a motion from the CRA.
Mayor, I'll make the motion on behalf of the CRA. Move to recommend approval of resolution number 23-29 for the approval of the Down Under Master Plan and authorize chairman and agency clerk to sign any necessary documents.
I'll second that.
Now I need a motion from the City Council for the same.
All right, motion to approve from City Council number 23-29 for the Down Under Master Plan.
I'll second it.
The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Who do we have, Wayne?
Penelope Cruz, Planning. Good evening, City Council, Port Orange Town Center CRA members. Thank you for being here to hear this item tonight. I also want to thank members of the business owners of the Down Under District. There are several representatives here from the Down Under District. We have worked together with the business owners in the district for a long time now, getting to the point of this master plan coming before you. And they're very excited about this and invested in the success of this plan as well. So, as you know, the Down Under is one of the 5 districts in the Port Orange Town Center CRA. It is a very unique part of the Port Orange Town Center CRA. This master plan was prepared by Zev Cohen together with the City of Port Orange staff and the business owners of the district. It includes improvements for parking, access, drainage, and aesthetics to make the area, continue to make the area a unique destination. And it is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and the Port Orange Town Center CRA with regards to redevelopment of this district. These proposed improvements are to build upon the ongoing and recent private investments that have happened in that district, so that the kind of public sphere and surrounding area from the private development matches that same vitality of that area. So the the most important and key part of this plan is the parking optimization and access. So Zev Cohen and Associates ran a parking optimization study to create the most efficient kind of parking layout for that area, so that when the city does get to the point of funding design and construction and repaving and striping of the area, we've got the most efficient layout of that parking, as well as the addition of grass parking, overall providing an additional 113 spaces beyond what's currently there right now. That layout, that optimized layout of parking, also improves access and traffic flow for vehicular movement, makes the area safer for pedestrians and patrons of the area, and also for truck delivery as well. And that was a really big concern that was brought up by the business owners in that area. So there's also loading spaces that have been designed for alternative modes of transportation, for ride sharing, to kind of reduce the amount of cars that need to go down there. You're going to a destination area, so that's kind of a more popular thing, is to use these new ride sharing methods, as well as options are in the plan for creating district specific ride sharing with a golf cart type of option, or other options that could be run coordinated with our city as well as Daytona Beach Shores, and just that whole area there for visitors as well as locals in the area. That optimization of that traffic flow also includes improvements, if you can see kind of a zoomed in here in the bottom left, of the south axis there. It kind of shifts that axis south a bit to have a dedicated right turn lane out. There's kind of a makeshift one created right now through the grass. So just like you do with campus planning and you see where the students are walking, I mean, that just makes sense. That's what people are doing right now anyway. And then also with that shifting south, creating a little bit more room to do a better left turn out with the stacking that occurs there. The improvements also address pedestrian access improvements to create a safer pedestrian environment at the intersection of Peninsula Drive and Dunlawton Avenue. The proposed stormwater drainage really aims to maximize that paved parking by converting the existing above-ground stormwater detention into a chamber system. Also addresses the existing depressional area on the south side of the bridge and converting that to a natively vegetated rain garden. As you all recall, prior to Hurricane Matthew, there was a very actively used fishing pier in the Down Under. Right now, People still use that area, but they're kind of just right on the edge of the shore. It's not very safe. So the plan includes putting back a 12-foot pier that kind of wraps around the base there, around that existing vegetation. It suggests using flow-through decking to prevent future damage from storms, and also provides opportunities to enhance the living shoreline around that area. Adjacent to the pier, you can kind of see in the zoom in right here, the plan proposes a pedestrian plaza that would create a social space to gather before and after meals. We're hoping the district continues to be very popular, and so you might have a little bit of a wait time. So kind of a place to gather before and after meals with your guests, and also function as a flexible space for events that can happen in that Down Under district. So the infrastructure under the bridge provides a great canvas to add murals to improve the aesthetics and the visitor experience down there. Also proposed in the plan is uplighting on the bridge pilings to complement and enhance the design. And the plan also addresses additional safety lighting of the parking lot and pedestrian access, as well as opportunities for decorative light poles with banners along the access drives. As you recall, also prior to a few hurricanes, there used to be a gateway sign right there at that south entrance.
Yes.
The plan includes replacement of that master gateway sign along Peninsula Drive, as well as some additional directional and district signage. The new gateway sign design was actually developed by the business owners in an earlier design discussion. And then the plan also addresses an additional sign that you can see here in the upper right-hand corner that could be added to the proposed pedestrian plaza and provide kind of a unique opportunity to take a photo and memorialize your experience in the Down Under district. So, as we know, this is a planning document. It is all contingent upon ultimate funding for design and construction. So the next steps, if this were to be approved tonight, staff would continue to work with FDOT for final approval of the master plan, and staff does plan on initially using some of the remaining project funds in the Down Under project to install some directional parking signage to help establish the designated grass parking along that south side of the access drive, kind of a low-hanging fruit that we can probably handle in-house. And then over the next year, seek grant funding opportunities for the parking and drainage improvements, dock, murals, and other identified improvements. Staff will also be preparing capital improvement projects for fiscal year 25 budget. So you'll see that in an upcoming budget to establish funding for design and construction. And what staff is anticipating as far as design and construction of these improvements is that funding would be a combination of city, CRA funds, and grants, along with possible assistance from community partners and business owners. So with that, staff is here to answer any questions. Like I said, there's several business owners here from the Down Under District, and Zeph Cohen and Associates is also here who helped prepare this plan.
I've heard of those guys. I've heard of those guys.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion.
I tell you what, why don't we start work from end to end? Tracy, questions for staff?
So dealing with the buffering zones that you're doing as far as the plants and things of that nature, that's going down the adjacent sides of the bridges. Underneath side is where you're gaining all the excess spaces.
The majority of the spaces are actually in the shared paved parking. The way the gain is through the optimized design. They've kind of laid out a more efficient pattern. Right now, if you go there, you kind of hit a bunch of dead ends or massive potholes, or it's just a very inefficient layout. So a lot of the additional parking comes from just the efficiency of the layout and standardization of the space design. And then there's some of the grass parking along the south access drive.
Yeah, because that's a heck of a job. That's 83% more spaces.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's very inefficient right now, the way it's laid out.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you go under there, part of it doesn't even look like a parking area,
No,
but
it's-
you can park there, but
yeah.
the ground is uneven and
Very confusing.
everything, so we'll get the underground chambers, and then that'll give us some spaces where that one pond
Yes.
is, and then just efficiently paving and marking everything will give us the additional with that grass down and
Correct,
stuff.
correct.
Okay.
So
Thanks, Tracy.
undergrounding that drainage right on that
Love it.
base there, yeah.
So the question then is, as you do the walk-through breezeway on the dockage system, how far is that gonna go back out? Is that gonna stop right where the jetty pylons are, or is that gonna continue a little bit further out on that side?
Are you able to answer that yet? Or it's really, there's no, so this is all very, it's conceptual at this point.
Okay.
We know we want to look at a 12-foot pier, how far out it's going to be when we have to design that, you know, but we definitely want to leave room for a living shoreline adjacent to, we've already done some work right on the base there after Dorian, Hurricane Dorian, but want to kind of enhance that as well. I don't know if you have anything to add to that. Yeah.
The question would be is utilization of it, is if you could take it out further, like the pier is on the other side that is full already with people fishing and using it, like the community wants to do. We can put them on this side, which will then allow more business to be taken, because people are fishing, they're gonna eat.
Yeah.
They're not gonna have to drive over the bridge to go eat, if we can have the pier on that side also.
So if you see, well, so on the south end here, that's private property, so we can't really go past where you see, I'm not sure, can they see the screen,
Can't see that.
Tracy?
No.
Okay. So, where you see it kind of ending, that's the private parcel for Ardeck Down Under, so we can't really get into that area.
Right.
They have been great partners so far with this plan, because this layout of the parking couldn't happen without the design incorporating part of their private parcel parking, but they understand that the efficiencies will benefit them as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can kind of see also here on the north end of the pier, the proposal is to have a water taxi stop there. Did I skip this whole thing? I didn't even talk about that. I feel like I skipped this slide. I must have been going too fast and skipped the slide there, this part of it. But so the plan is to have a spot there for potentially, the idea is to have a water taxi that can connect the Down Under district as well as everything going on the Riverwalk side, and even to our neighbors to the north in South Daytona, some of their new projects that are going on there. So it would just be a stop that is planned here. DOT wouldn't let us have, you wouldn't be able to pay or do anything like to be the main access point on this end. That would have to happen over on the private property and the Riverwalk side.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You good? Reed, what you got?
Yeah, well, this is really exciting. I go down here at least once a week, if not more. I've actually had residents reaching out wanting to know about the dock. We're going to put some up there. Actually, can we leave that slide up?
Yeah.
Real quick, sorry. And I want to applaud our businesses, because I know this is kind of a collaborative effort between you guys, and it benefits everybody. So all around staff, everyone involved. I'm just going to give an opinion, and this does not have to be taken very, heavily. With all the increase in spaces, personally, I'd like to see what our business owners would think about expanding that space,
The pedestrian
the
plaza?
pedestrian area.
Okay.
We're picking up a ton of really good parking spaces, and we're going from 130 to 250 or whatever it was. And the only reason I say that is because I constantly find myself waiting for a table somewhere or whatever it may be, and to think of there being another area that you can be able to do more things and wait while some people are fishing. Maybe there's something kids are playing. Maybe Parks gets involved a little bit. I would just love to see that entire area there become strictly focused around pedestrians. People being able to pull in, your various ride sharing services, whatever, drop people off. You have a great area to hang out. You're under the bridge where it's cool in the summer. You have the breeze flowing through. I think we're gaining enough parking spaces the rest of the way that would be a really big asset to the city as a whole and to that area. But I would really want to know what our business owners think. They're down there. They probably have better insight than I as a consumer. That's just an opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Otherwise, I love everything about this.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, Scott?
Yeah, I completely support the whole concept. It's been a long time in the making. It's still got time to go, but we got to keep moving the whole project idea forward. This is one of the, it's almost hidden to some degree, because a lot of people don't really know about this area, but once they know about it, they fall in love with it. It's a treasure for our city. It really is, and it needs a full-blown renovation. We've got businesses that have been there for a really long time. We've got new businesses down there that have invested, and it's extremely popular. And so to be able to open this up a little bit, maximize some of the parking opportunities, give it a fresh new look for the next 25, 30 years is really exciting, and so I look forward to seeing it move forward. And I'll echo what Reed is saying, is that the collaborative effort of all the business owners down there just means the world to a project like this, and so it just makes it that much more exciting and appealing to everybody.
Good. Drew, what you got?
Same, I mean, fully supported. I think it's a really good plan. It's much needed, long overdue, and I don't think it could happen fast enough. So, you know, what you presented here, and that, you know, the uplighting, the murals, it'll just make that even a bigger destination, and I really can't wait for it. I think it's going to be awesome. In regards to the murals, we probably working through maybe Art House or something with some of our partners, see if they can provide the artwork or the.
We could
people.
definitely, I mean, we're gonna probably have to put it out for an RFP, and there'll be specifications, because FDOT has certain requirements, like you
Okay.
can't have words, you can only use certain type of, you
Yeah.
can't have logos. They've already approved a variety of
Yeah.
themes that we can use down
Okay.
there, but they have specifications for the type of paint and things like that. So
Gotcha.
we'll put an RFP out when we get to that point and have all those specs there, and yeah, we'd encourage them
Yeah.
to
Well, I know years ago,
participate.
and I mean, I know times have changed, but under the
New Smyrna.
New Smyrna, they had high school students
Yeah.
involved in providing artwork for that project.
Mhm.
So, you know, maybe we could do something like that within the rules that, you
Yeah.
know, they require now, and I know that was a long time ago, but.
We shall see.
So it still looks good down there.
Mhm.
So, okay, great job, thanks.
Michael, you know anything about this area?
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, we're huge fans, and I speak for me personally as someone who lives and uses it quite a bit, and also as a business owner down there. I mean, it's going to shine a very nice light on what's been happening and the growth that's been going on there. And I think the timing, while we all wish it could have been done years ago, but it doesn't matter now going backwards. But we have this amazing project. This is really a connector. It's not isolated as the Down Under District. It's part of the greater Riverwalk across the street, which this group's put a ton of time and effort, and the staff, to create this amazing place right across the river. And this timing would probably come in the same time rolling out, and so now you have this amazing destination for visitors and really for the locals. I mean, the locals are going to probably utilize this more than anybody, and I think it's, you know, all the comments are very valid about adding more for locals to utilize it, and be it, you know, that day trip or spend the day down there on either side. And so there's a nice huge area that, you know, I mean, obviously I want to focus on Down Under, but we really do look at this as, in all our conversations, is it's really the whole Riverwalk area. And we feel like we're part of that. I know the business owners that are connected to that, and a lot of them here feel like we are part of that, even though we're across the river. And the water taxi may be that connector real big, but the bridge is, and we all use that, and so we're more than excited. I mean, there's been a lot of meetings and a lot of great input from all the business owners, city staff. People that live in the area have made some great feedback and comments to so super excited about this. This is a big day for business owners and really for the residents too.
I'm glad you mentioned that connection to Riverwalk. Planning Commission heard from them that development, and we'll be hearing that in a couple of weeks ourselves as that moves along. It really is connected, not just from the viability, the looking at one side of the bridge to the other and the like, but it in so many ways, Riverwalk itself is a big win for the city even before they break ground. Once we close with Bristol Development, there's $500,000 of debt service that comes off the general fund that we'll be able to free up and take care of some things. We've got almost $5 million of debt that goes away, and then the profit from that, obviously those dollars help fund these projects within the CRA. So it does what it's supposed to do, and we're finally making that CRA do exactly what it is supposed to do. And getting that park open a few years ago, that beautiful 10-acre park, it instantly became the busiest park in the city. It's amazing, the saying, rising tide lifts all boats. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but all those moving pieces. I look forward to seeing the other things that are coming along down there, and there are a lot of other things that are in the works already. and what is to become of that. It's great to know that the infrastructure already exists. We've got roughly 15,000 less cars that travel that road than it did a dozen years ago. So we've got capacity down there. We don't have to do much. We just have to do these things and do it well. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Lighting improvements, I think, are important because I do the bridge walk Wednesday evenings and I see that down there. Lighting's pretty good down there. But from a safety standpoint, the brighter it is, the more inviting it is. And not just from safety, but making people actually feel as safe as they really are, and that's important. So, looking forward to that in so many different ways. And I was glad to see that the living shoreline is part of this plan as well. That means an awful lot to me to hear that, even though you only touched upon it. It's there, and it's a component
Lots of
of that.
educational opportunities we can.
Absolutely. With that, why don't we hear from the public?
I do also want to just, Mayor, real quickly, if I
No,
can.
go ahead.
If the business owners from the Down Under could just at least stand up, and I'm not sure if you're planning on speaking, but if you guys can I just want to recognize you guys. You guys have been really great to work with, so you don't get that very often. They've made themselves available. They're all very busy, and they make themselves available anytime we want to come down there and pick their brains and get their feedback and input on this plan, so thank you all.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, guys.
And with that, we hear from the public, and that includes y'all if you'd like to speak. Would anyone here care to speak to the item? Nobody here going to try to talk us out of it either.
There you go. Come on.
All right.
All right.
I was going to nominate you.
Name is Michael Freeman with Port Orange Marina and Two Jerk Seafood. And I'd like to start by thanking not only Tim and Penny for all of the tremendous work they've done so far, but all of city staff have been phenomenal through this entire process. We could not be any more excited about this finally coming full circle. It's been, in my opinion, an underutilized part of the city, as popular as it is already, for a very long time, and this will finally allow it to reach its full potential. Just briefly, I'd like to speak to Reed's question earlier about a potential expansion of the hardscape that was in the plan itself. You'll see in the northwest corner, kind of just inside of where the proposed fishing dock would be, there's about 8 or 9 parking spaces on the northern edge of the seawall.
Mhm.
We're picking up almost 100 spaces, primarily from a little further east where that drainage pond will finally be put underground instead of above ground. That area could very easily be converted into a hardscape. Really wouldn't lose much beyond
Okay.
increased traffic flow for pedestrians between the marina there and then deck down under. It's really one of the biggest problems that the area has always had. As it currently sits, you can walk from the dairy bar all the way down to the marina. Really don't have any issues. The second you want to go over to deck down under, though, you're crossing a very uneven parking lot that's poorly
I've made
lit
that walk a
and
few
really
times.
doesn't have any traffic for pedestrians, unfortunately.
Right.
But we're very excited about the project, and I'd like to thank everybody again for all the work they've done.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak to the item? There being none, back to the council and the CRA. Any other final comments? There being none, would Chairman Foley like to call the roll, ask for the roll to be called for the CRA?
Yeah, let's call the roll for the CRA.
Chairman Reed Foley,
Yes.
Donald Burnett,
Yes?
Drew Bastian,
Yes.
Scott Stiltner,
Yes.
Tracy Grubbs,
Yes.
Michael Benedict,
I'm abstaining due to the circumstances of owning properties from the vote.
All right.
Okay.
So we have a 5-0 with 1 abstaining.
Perfect.
And for this, for the council, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. This is huge. This is really huge. I'm very excited. Any other further business to be brought before the members of the Town Center Redevelopment Agency or the City Council on in regards to what we're here for? There being none, I'm going to adjourn this portion of the meeting and turn the gavel over to Chairman Bastian so he can chair the Eastport CRA meeting. Chairman Bastian,
I don't think this one will be nearly as time consuming as that one.
or half as exciting.
No, definitely not nearly as exciting.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, I will officially call the regular meeting of the Eastport Business Center Community Redevelopment Agency to order. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chairman Drew Bastian,
Here.
Donald Burnett,
Here?
Scott Stiltner,
Here.
Reed Foley,
Here.
Tracy Grubbs,
Here.
Are there any objections to the notice of this meeting? Hearing no objection, this notice is accepted. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 21st, 2023 meeting of the Eastport Business Center Community Redevelopment Agency?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Please call the roll.
Councilman Drew Bastian,
Yes.
Donald Burnett,
Here.
Yes.
Scott Stiltner,
Yes.
Reed Foley,
Yes.
Tracy Grubbs,
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Item 3 is a resolution number 23-1, Eastport Business Center CRA Tax Increment District.
Chairman Bastian, would you like me to read that into the record for you?
I would love that.
Resolution number 23-01 is a resolution of the Eastport Business Center Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, adopting the annual budget for the Eastport Business Center Community Redevelopment Agency for the fiscal year beginning October 1st of 2023 and ending September 30th of 2024, providing for conflicting resolutions, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve resolution number 23-1, approving the Eastport Business Center CRA Tax Increment District fiscal year 2024 operating budget.
Second.
Perfect. Okay, I have a proper motion and a second. We have a motion on the floor and proper second. Ask for any comments of the CRA members. Hearing none. Public comments on this issue? None. Final comments from CRA members? We're good. And clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Drew Bastian,
Yes.
Donald Burnett,
Yes.
Scott Stiltner,
Yes.
Reed Foley,
Yes.
Tracy Grubbs,
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, item 6. Any further business to be brought before the members of the Eastport Business Center Community Redevelopment Agency? There being none, I will adjourn this meeting and we will resume our normal city council meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Down to
Drew, you're a natural.
take me in.
With that, back to council business. Item 4, public comments on the consent agenda. There being none, agenda approval. In the motion to approve the agenda tonight, can we pull 9H from consent?
All right. Move to approve tonight's agenda with the removal of 9H from consent.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve the agenda for the evening, pulling 9H from the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
May I have approval of the consent agenda, items 6 through 10 minus 9H?
Move to approve the balance of consent 6, 7, 9 through 11 minus 9H.
do you mean 7H?
I think 7H is what you wanted here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was, because there is no 9H, it is 7H.
I was just looking at that.
Yeah, okay.
With that, let's do this correctly. Can I have a motion to pull 7H?
All right, let's try this again.
Mayor, you got a couple resolutions on there on consent.
Okay, let's
Got it.
move to approve the agenda with the removal of 7H from consent.
Second.
All in favor for agenda approval for the evening, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No naysayers? Okay. Consent agenda, minus 7H. May I have an approval for the consent agenda minus 7H?
Move to approve the balance of the consent agenda.
So, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve items 6 through 10 with the exception of 9H. Call the roll.
And 11's on there as well.
I don't see an 11.
That's council comments.
I had 11. No. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
7H again.
Correct. Thank you. Motion approved, just because I wrote it down wrong.
I did the same thing. I wrote down 11, so don't feel too
So,
bad.
We have a motion and a second to approve agenda items 6 through 10 minus 7H. Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Consent agenda is finally approved.
I
It's
can't
not as
hear what
easy
you got
as
to say about 7H.
It is.
I want to hear what he has to say about 9H.
Yeah, well, we'll get to 9H in a moment, seeing as there is no 9H. The contract with Samsula Waste. Wayne, this is the property in Sugar Forest that I've been bugging the heck out of you about forever, which we finally got the approval from the special magistrate to get the authority from the one uncooperative property owner. I just wanted you to lay out the timeline for us, what the expectations are now that, once we approve the contract for the demolition. What's our time frame for getting this done?
Sure. Should council approve this item tonight, the company Samsula that you would award it to has done business with the city before, is familiar with our online permitting system, and has already taken some preparation steps ahead of the tonight. Staff has spoken with them today. They've prepared the permit package already. They already have the approvals for the power off and the outside agencies you've got to get ahead of time. So they're prepared to submit the package tomorrow. The permit package for demolition. There is a requirement to do an asbestos study that takes about 5 days to do, so the asbestos study should be back early next week. With that done, we understand that their scheduling is to mobilize and be on the site to start demolition the week of the 14th, and it takes, they're estimating, about a week to demolish. So should all those go well, the asbestos comes back negative, and they can start on the 14th and start demolition. The site should be cleared before the end of the month, probably a week before if it goes really well, but certainly by the end of the month is the schedule as we understand it.
And this is something that, well, not just because of the burnt out, but this particularly, the one property owner has been a sore spot in this neighborhood for a long time, that I would love to be able to, they'll be watching. Heck, you could probably go sell popcorn and make a buck, because there's so many people
The other
watching
three
this.
neighbors, the other three owners are cooperating and paying their share of the price of the demolition.
Okay. And if there's anything that's comes up as a delay with the contractor, please let us know, just because I keep getting questions about it, and I'm sure the council person from that district does as well, so so we can help set expectations and the like. So
Okay.
with that, can I have approval for item 7H?
Move to approve item 7H.
Second.
We have a motion motion for approval of item 7H and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No naysayers? So we are going forward, finally, with the demolition.
Happy people.
There were people watching. Told you.
Every day.
Yeah. With that, public participation, non-agenda. We have County Councilman Matt Reinhardt with us, who's going to give us a lead off with the update on county business for us. Councilman, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Councilman, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So I'll keep this brief. I'll probably talk more tonight than what I do at council meetings. So,
Hey, take all the time you want within 3 minutes.
well, the only thing I really have to address is I heard during the last segment that Vice Mayor Foley has issues finding a table. That's a huge issue. I gotta get that taken care of. So, Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. This is a unique event that I can attend one of these meetings that our county council meeting is held on the same day that we're not here. I would still usually be in that meeting about now. So just wanted to give a quick update with regard everybody's question about the beaches. We had a little bit of a conversation about that today. As you know, that the county's been working exclusively with Fish and Wildlife as far as the permitting through DEP as well. Our big holdup was the sea turtles. That issue has been resolved as much as it's going to be. At first, FDEP did not want to offer any past the May 1st deadline. We have since rectified that. And we've also gotten to the point now that if a sea turtle is seen, they'll just simply rope it off. And we keep a 20-foot radius between that and where the construction occurs. So that was good news. The only obstacle with regards to sea turtles and construction is our Dunlawton lifeguard stand. Apparently there's a sea turtle or some sea turtle activity that's there that's kind of delaying that process. Most of the ramps have been open with exception to some of the disabled access points. Those we're going to have to, it's not something our county employees should be doing. We're going to have to bid those out and we're still going through the same permitting process as everyone else. So we have to seek the same FDEP permits and FWC. So we're having to do the same process. So there is a delay on that. However, we have made extensive success moving forward with regards to some of the other walkovers. And even on some of the other walkovers that were completely shut down, or some of the parks that were completely shut down, the access, we've given temporary access. So there are some stairs there that doesn't accommodate the disabled, but we will get to that point hopefully sooner than later. Trap bags, as everyone knows, the money that we received from the state to accommodate the first $5 million was for the trap bags, which we have now, as of July 5th, and so this number has probably increased since then, 34,670 linear feet of trap bags has been deployed, and there's still more to go, and we still have the sand to do it. There has also been 11,950 cubic yards of debris removed as of that date, which probably even more so now. And we have obtained 243 easement agreements. As everyone knows, that we could not go onto that property to deploy those trap bags without having those easement signed by the homeowners or the property owners. So 99 of those come from where the Tiger Dam was over in the Shores area. So that was good news that we got that. The $37.6 million that we received from FDEP for beach renourishment, to start with, we'll do a feasibility study in order to determine where that long-term project that'll last up to at least 5 years. Now, some of that will purchase or will go for the dredging projects that we are talking about. About every 5-6 years, Army Corps of Engineers does a dredging project of the Intercoastal Waterway, the entire Intercoastal. So that will start, I believe they're talking about winter of this year. So unfortunately, it doesn't help us with this hurricane season, but I think that's significant because they were actually talking about at least 2 years from now before they start that. So we have moved incredibly fast with respect to that. And then we also will be dredging Rattlesnake Island. That's not a place I want to go visit. Rattlesnake Island, that sand and a lot of the other sand that we get, we're going to stage it in Ponce Inlet. They're also doing a dredging project off of New Smyrna, which will, if you remember years ago when they did that, they piped it in.
Yeah.
I guess around the Jesmine area, I can't remember the name of the road, but that will accommodate the sand needed for New Smyrna. The sand that we're talking from these dredging projects will assist us from Ponce Inlet going north. And we'll just continue to lay that beach compatible sand out until we run out. So, and I don't think we're going to. I think that there's plenty to go. So, so working with those agencies is good. And also on top of that, I know Daytona, the flooding that occurred inland with respect to the beaches, but inland, the city of Daytona Beach has been working with Congressman Waltz to get a Army Corps of Engineer project to assist with a lot of their Midtown area that flooded. A lot of that, the $3 million that they were able to get, if you're familiar with Army Corps of Engineers, they approve, I think, 5 or 6 projects a year, and only 2 are coastal. And that's in the entire nation.
Nationally.
That's nationally. That's not just for Florida. So to be able to accomplish that was outstanding that they were able to do so, and that was with the help of Congressman Waltz. So we appreciate his assistance with that. We do have the project where I saw you yesterday, Mr. Mayor, for the Transform 386 project. That was the HUD grant that we received, the $362.4 million. Exactly, $360 some million that we're getting from that. We have set up with Donna Butler. She will head that up. She is coming over from our community affairs office and strictly going to be doing that probably through her retirement. That's going to be a full-time thing. So they're in the exploratory part of that process right now where they're getting surveys. Friday, I believe, is the last day. So if you've been online with the County of Volusia, go to the Transform 386 to be able to do that survey. People will be able to apply specifically for grants for rebuilding. Some of them will get buyouts will be available with the purchase of those funds, and also obviously a good portion of it to go to infrastructure, which is what we need. That's a huge obstacle, and it's not just obviously limited to Midtown or the Beach Street area, but there's significant areas here in Port Orange, and then of course the poor west side of the county. So we need to. Hopefully we'll have enough to go around. So other than that, that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
Anybody have questions for the council?
I probably went over the 3 minutes.
That's okay.
The beach renourishment project, is that someone, or I read possibly somewhere that something similar to what South Florida has been doing, where they literally dredge from the ocean and pump it up onto the beach and then move it into place. That can only be done by the Army Corps of Engineers. That cannot be.
If it goes out to those international waters, then
okay.
yeah,
So
then that's going to be the distance thing that they're talking about. I love. There was a project that was done up in the Maryland area.
Yep.
That they actually set those stations offshore, so there was a constant pump in. What we're being told is our shoreline is significantly different from that of the northern states' shorelines. So that would not be able to accomplish it. But my argument for that, and I'm not an engineer, obviously, I just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. So that protection of that shoreline out there to be able to pump that sand within 8 to 12 feet deep of water would have helped us, I think, with the high tides that we've seen, the significant high tides. If you notice, our beach sand is very soft still. At this point, I would imagine that it would be packed down a little bit more. That's what makes us unique down here. But because of the constant high tide issue that we've had, there hasn't been that break out there. That's what I'd like to see happen. And that was the original intent of the Army Corps project, was to dump the sand offshore like that for that purpose. However, we need it for the protection of our homes also, and some of the homes that are falling off onto the beaches. That's a priority right now.
Not to mention the economic driver the beach is.
Oh my goodness, yeah, and I don't want to see that taken away. And that was an argument we had when we talked about dogs on the beach, is I didn't want the FWC, we have that incidental take permit that we have to be concerned about. Whether you like it or not, it is a big economic drive for Volusia County because we're significant with driving on the beach. Yeah. Now there are other areas with that, but we have the most of it. So.
Anybody else have anything for the councilman?
Thanks for taking time.
Oh, my
I know
pleasure.
how busy you are.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Do I have any other? Thank you, Tracy. Mr. Robert Reinhagen.
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive North, Port Orange. I read the agenda packet provided for the July Planning Commission meeting and then attended the meeting. The agenda topic was an update on the River Yard project, which Bristol Corporation is seeking your approval of the conceptual development plan. The materials in the packet dealt with phase 1 of the plan that included the project infrastructure. I was particularly concerned with how the developer would deal with stormwater runoff. Flooding has been a real problem here recently, and I expressed this concern at the commission meeting. This project requires raising the property level 2 to 3 feet, providing that you approve lowering the first floor elevation from the current requirement of 9 feet to 7 feet. I found no discussion in the agenda packet on how the developer would handle stormwater. There was an Exhibit B, an engineering drawing of the drainage. This drawing showed 9 separate proposed underground exfiltration/vault systems. There was no indication that the vaults were connected. There was no mention of any pumping system. There was no analysis of the stormwater retention capability. If, as we have seen recently, there have been daily storms and then a hurricane is approaching, can the vaults be pumped down? There is no mention of how the water in the vaults, how much water can be held in the vaults. Is it a storm that drops 3 inches of water, 5 inches, 10 inches of water? There was some mention by one of the engineers that the vaults would have a stone bottom. Would the water then have to filter down into the soil after each storm so that it could then capture the water from the next storm? The engineering drawing also shows 3 potential water outflows along the river, but there's no description of if they are connected to or operate in concert with the vault system. I believe these are all unanswered questions that are pertinent to the Phase 1 infrastructure efforts and should be answered before approving the conceptual development plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Tracy, that was all of them? Okay, with that, council comments. Let's start at this side this time. Drew, what you got for us?
Another time, Mayor.
Scott? Reed?
Just super quick, I want to thank Tom and his staff. So I brought to them, I had some residents call me because of Sleepy Hollow. The roads were flooding really bad during the last week. And it was temporary, it would go down, but I asked them just to look into that, and they did. They actually found a temporary idea. They're trying out running a pump between 2 of the ponds that are over there and behind the Winn-Dixie area and in behind Nova. And I just want to appreciate them, taking the lead on that and trying something and trying to come up with some answers. A lot of people, like I said, have, for lack of a better term, have a little bit of PTSD in that neighborhood because of what happened with the hurricane. And with us getting incredible amounts of rain during these normal storms, any effort at all, I think a lot of the residents appreciate. And I know I personally appreciate the effort. So I just want to make sure I said thank you for them doing that.
Okay. Tracy, what you got?
So tonight we heard about the Down Under CRE project, and we've been talking about the Riverwalk project. So the concern that I want to bring up is we want to keep those 2 areas beautified with a waterway between them. One of the big issues that I deal with business-wise, but also looking at Port Orange, is when we cross the bridge, how many derelict vessels we have sitting in the river. Now I know that goes to the state level, the county level, and then it comes back down to the city level. But there is ways to stop derelict vessels, and it's something that needs to be addressed as we move forward for looking at Down Under and Riverwalk. Nobody wants to be sitting at their hotel or their restaurant or a bar sitting across to look at the beautiful sunset and having a sunken boat in front of them. I don't think y'all do. There are towns that have mooring city ordinances in their river. St. Augustine to be one. You can't moor overnight unless you're on a city-owned mooring pen, which then also allows the city to maintain that those vessels aren't discharging wastewater into our river. So it's tenfold. We can look at it and turn a blind eye like a lot of cities have for years, or we can put a mooring system in to try to protect our waterways, and at the same time make sure that those owners that are mooring up have insurance, so if we do have another hurricane and a vessel goes to the bottom, that the insurance will provide to remove the eyesore from our waterway. It's an environmental impact that needs to be seen, needs to be addressed. So that's my viewpoint for tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Wayne, I'm sure you're probably really tired of me talking about this, but we have invested $1.2 million of state money into our artificial intelligence system for our traffic light system that's not being utilized accordingly. And I know we had some hurricane damage and the like to control cameras and things like that, but what is going on with getting that system back to where it was before? 'Cause particularly when it came online. I mean, Drew, wouldn't you agree that when it came online, it made a big difference?
Yeah,
'Cause I
once,
think you
once
said
they
something
got
about
once
that.
they got the timing worked out, you know, initially there were a couple little hiccups, and then it really
It learns.
It
The
did
system's
really
learning.
well.
But I mean, where are we at with that? Or are we stuck with a brand new system that doesn't work any better than the old one? What's going on?
So I'm going to do my best to explain, and some of it is, I'm not trying to speak for DOT, but as I understand between them and the county who were operating the system, it's on their road and doesn't belong to us. But as the system went in, you described it well, it had a lot of technical components that were struggling between the hurricanes and lightning to be working. So there was a lot of maintenance required to keep it functioning. As I understand the way DOT measures the success of the system and the delays on the roads, when they're looking at measuring congestion, in the days past, they used to look at things like volume and capacity on the road and signal delays and turning movements. But the way they're looking at signal, the efficiency of the road is how long does it take you to move through the entire network. So from the beach out to Summer Trees. And when the system was in operation with the intelligence system there, and once it shut down due to the damage, they went back to manually or computer operating the signal timing. They believe that it is running more efficiently now than it was then, so they do not intend to restart the system that was put in place, and they're going to continue to operate it as it is now, with the computers controlling the timing of the signals going forward. So it was based on the movement through the system. It's a very complicated conversation. I'm probably oversimplifying it if you brought a traffic engineer in here to explain it, but it's essentially their findings are it works better now than it did with that system in place.
Is it working better than it did before they even put the system in? Which
That's my understanding. It is an improvement over back in the day of 2009, 8, 9, 10, those 8 years.
I'd certainly like to see something more than anecdotal on that from them, if you don't mind, because that was something that we had talked about for a long time and lobbied for that investment, and it was the first one to go in all of Volusia County, and I want to make sure that we are getting even if those tax dollars didn't come from Port Orange dollars, from the city of Port Orange, those are tax dollars we all paid for, and we should be getting to the state. We should be getting what we invested in.
We have the community development staff does have the traffic studies that show that they're extremely detailed and technical. So we may want some kind of more executive summary. My understanding is they're also not fixing these or continuing to use them in the other areas of the county where they were put in place too. So I think it's Ormond and New Smyrna are the other two major roadways that they're not using them.
Maybe the transportation subcommittee at the elected officials roundtable might have some discussions about that. So, okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the street lights we talked about on the bridge that are still out. We went out with the hurricane completely, then some of them have been restored, but there's still a number of them out. I'll ask you about that first, if you don't mind.
They're in the process of being repaired. Some of them, the fixtures themselves, the old lights had rusted and deteriorated to the point that getting back in there and working with the parts was not going to work. So we are trading them out to LED heads. So we had to wait for a while on supply chain to get the parts in. So they're starting to now repair. You've probably seen some of them coming back on. At the time we've been in there doing that, we've discovered that some of the poles are in rough shape, and it's the right thing to do is to actually repair some of the poles so that they're safer in the long run. So the repairs will take a little bit longer now that we've started them as we go through and make sure the entire system is upgraded.
Keep an eye on it during my Wednesday night bridge walks. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the bank. We got the bank of street lights on Nova Road, southbound, taken care of, but on the north end, approaching Herbert Street, the long series of street lights that are still out. Can you tell us what's going on with that, or are we still looking, or what's going on?
My understanding there is that DOT had hired a contractor to do some work in the area, and they cut the power source to those lights, and they cut the main power line in there, and they have not yet found the full source to get the power back on. So it's a DOT contractor working on DOT road, still looking to do that. So
Okay,
as soon
that's
as-
been months, some months, so if we can put some fresh pressure on, or at least get an update on what they're doing with that contract, whatever the case is, I'd like some fresh information, because that is also a stretch of Nova Road that has a fair amount of pedestrian activity both day and night, and that's not just a safety issue for cars, but a safety issue for people as well. And I appreciate you staying on that for us. Okay, with that, board appointments, interviews, and reports. Item 12, with the Golf Advisory Board report. Rich, waiting patiently. Appreciate you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rich Lee, spokesperson for the Golf Advisory Board this year. I'm pretty sure you guys know about the all the improvements that the golf course does need, which are really boiled down to two: the cart paths and the sand traps. And I think there's money, hopefully, that has been considered for making those improvements. But those are really the only two things that really need to be done. Everything else I'm going to talk about is all the positive things that are taking place, much like I did the last time. But these are all new things that have happened. They've installed some split rail fencing, which better directs people to the tee on number 10, as well as the mounded area around 18, so that people keep them off where they're not supposed to be and where they are supposed to be. There's also some at the end of 10 where you circle around the pond to get to number 11. There's some split rail that they've put in there, and it really enhances the appearance of that whole area. They've installed pavers. If y'all remember the fourth hole, which is the dog leg to the right, got to go over the creek.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the other end, it's really soggy. That's where the creek comes through. And they've laid pavers down now to kind of direct you to the green so that you're not mushing around in the areas that are all dirt. And so that's an improvement. Some small things that they're doing are really things that I find more elite golf courses participate in. If you take out one of the rental carts now, you're going to find ice in the ice bucket and 2 bottles of water, private label that says Cypress Head. So they're trying to promote themselves. On some of the days, the player's assistant has a water cooler on his cart and cups that he can give you water. He's also got these little cooling towels that they've got wrapped up. He's got them in ice. You take it out, put it around, and it really just cools you off. If you put that back in the cooler that you're carrying around the ice in, you can keep it cold, and it really is an enhancement. And that's something you really see at prestigious golf courses. The other things that are going on is they have hired a new marketing manager, Leslie House, who lives in Venetian Bay. She'll be starting September the 12th, and one of her first assignments is to develop a marketing plan for for Woodhaven. They're going to specifically target that area because it's a real growth neighborhood, relatively new, so there's probably a lot of people that don't know anything about Cypress Head. And they're remodeling the bathrooms, which kind of caught me by surprise. You don't kind of think of anything being bad with the bathroom, but there's new vanities that are going in, mirrors. They replaced the ADA compliant restroom. So those are just some of the things that they've got going on that really has enhanced and made people appreciate both the course itself, the conditioning, which has been phenomenal. Most everybody will tell you that it's in the best condition since the course opened in '92. And I golfed it in '92. I don't remember it in '92, but we started playing actively in 2008. I can tell you that is a very true statement, and the responses they get in their surveys support that comment. So that's all. That's everything I've got, and it's all good news.
Well, if nothing else, Rich, I think Reed likes your shirt.
I was gonna say, nice shirt.
Right?
I don't know. I thought he was in my closet, but could have been. All right.
Rich, how was the? By the way, they did a great job advertising the the summer camps for the youth during
Yes.
the summer.
Mhm.
How was it? Was it well attended?
Yes, very active, yeah.
I saw a lot
There's-
of online
I
advertising.
think they've
and
ended
marketing.
now. I think they stopped last week.
Yeah, I think
May have
last
been the
week was the
last
last
one.
week, right?
Yeah, but every time, I play 3 to 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
When I go through and they were running them, I think 4 days a week, you'd always see, 6, 8, 10, 12 children playing. I think he limited it to like 13 children at a time, because you don't have just enough staff to keep them all busy
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and running around. But yeah, it was
Great.
well attended again.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Anything else? If you
Anything
guys
else,
could
Mr.
stop the rain, that would really help too.
Yeah. Work on it.
Rich,
Yeah.
how, any word on how the new restaurant operator's doing? How are things going out there? I haven't heard much.
Yeah, he's trying very hard to do different things.
Okay.
He had, in fact, I came up at the board meeting tonight. He had a comedian come in and did a special dinner beforehand, and there wasn't one person that we knew that went to it. But he tried.
Yeah.
He's hired this guy as a comedian, and he's done a few, balloon things. I don't know where he got them from, but anyways, he at least was trying to do those things. He's run special dinners, which a lot of us have attended.
Okay.
Those have gone over pretty well. But he seems to be doing okay. In fact, I asked him today how things were going, and he said, I'm working on stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah, he seems to be pretty happy.
Good. All right. Anything else? Thanks, Rich.
Good, okay.
The public hearing portion of the meeting is now open. First reading of ordinance number 2023-08. Ordinance number 2023-08 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending Chapter 54, Article 5, Police Pension Fund, amending Section 54-122, definitions, clarifying the definition of compensation in conform to past practice, providing for codification, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2023-08.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who do we have on this?
Either Matt or I will be able to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. This is the pension fund article that as we talked about previously that brings us into compliance with current practice.
Yeah, in essence, there was a bit of a question as payroll has kind of moved around and through the organization. There's a bit of a question as to how the definition of compensation has evolved over the years, all the way back to 11 and 12. We got everybody in the room, pension board, finance staff, and we've kind of been able to come to a conclusion on what that looks like. That was sent out to the actuary. This amendment that's before you, which is just a clarifying amendment, was sent out to the actuary who issued a statement of no material impact to the fund.
Okay. So that would be a yes.
Yes.
Okay. Council, questions or comments? Seeing none, would anyone here care to speak to the item? Being none, back to us. Council, final comments or questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. First reading passes. That brings us to item 14, which is the approval of the Coastal Oaks subdivision plat and plans. The recommended motion is to approve the Coastal Oaks subdivision plat and plans. May I have such said motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who do we have?
Penelope Cruz Planning. So the subject property is located on the north side of Herbert Street, west of the FEC Railroad. The applicant is requesting approval of the Coastal Oaks subdivision, plat and plans to subdivide the subject 2.2 acre property into 4 residential lots and construct 2 duplexes with total of 4 dwelling units, along with tree preservation, stormwater retention, and open space. The subject property is currently vacant and zoned R2D, which is a 2-family duplex zoning, and it also has a future land use designation of urban medium residential, which allows 4 to 8 units per acre, with a maximum density allowed on the property of 17 units. The initial plans actually proposed to subdivide the property into 12 lots. However, the applicant went back to the drawing board and submitted the plans before you today for a 4-lot residential development and construction of 2 duplexes, with the majority of the site remaining in conservation. So you can see kind of a colorized version of the plan before you tonight. It's been designed according to the requirements of the Land Development Code and the R2D zoning district. Access is provided from Herbert Street, including the following subdivision improvements, which are the dedication of 5 feet along the north side of Herbert Street, stormwater drainage infrastructure, water and sewer infrastructure, conservation easements over the existing wetland and buffer, preservation of 11 specimen trees, including all 6 live historic oaks, which is greater than the code required 9 specimen tree preservation, tree conservation easements over 67% of the site, and compliance with all city, state, county, and federal regulations for the protection of wildlife species and wetland protection. Just as a reminder, the review of subdivision plats is a ministerial review in that the approving body must only consider the technical criteria and lot dimensional requirements of the LDC. The subject plat has been reviewed by the Staff Development Review Committee and found to meet all the technical requirements of Land Development Code, and also found that all public facilities and services are currently available to serve the proposed development, and therefore staff is recommending approval.
Okay. Oh, questions, comments? Start with Drew.
So they're gonna do, is there a current retention on there, or is it just,
It's
it's
just
just
a
a wood,
vacant-
it's
it's
pretty
just
much
wooden.
all
Mhm.
wooden okay,
Yeah,
so.
with an existing kind of
Yeah.
depressional wetland area in the back corner.
Yeah, so compared to what it was in this, I mean, it definitely is, you know, diminished or decreased the density, and, yeah, I don't see a problem with it.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Scott?
I like anytime we can see a reduction in overall density on a piece of property, so it's a good thing.
Reed?
Yeah, exactly what Scott said. My only question is just, how big is the acreage combined?
The total acreage of the property is 2.2 acres.
Okay.
The wetland area is about 0.7 acres with the buffer, and like about 67% is all going to be in conservation easements.
Yeah, I was just curious when you stacked them all together,
Mhm.
what that sum was of all parts.
Yeah.
Tracy?
I say it looks good. I mean, when you got over half the property not being utilized right now, anything for drainage is a good thing. So, especially that area.
And that was my
So-
concern, is you actually have a chance to improve the overall drainage because it's an
Correct.
unimproved property as it is right now. I certainly like that impact.
It's nice to see.
Anyone here care to speak to the item? No one from the public? Anyone other than Brendan?
Good evening, Brendan Gabbard, 4190 Halifax, and a partner in this project. Just kind of a piggyback on some of the momentum comments that we saw.
Hey,
with
Brendan,
that.
pull that microphone up
Sorry.
forward just so people at home can hear you.
Yes, sir. Just to comment on some of the momentum comments, or the feel that I kind of get out of this meeting. You had the down under conversation, which was excellent. A couple comments about the River Yard, which I sat in the Planning Commission last Thursday, which was a great presentation by Charles. And I think there's like a serious momentum on that side of town. And this is just, one more infill project that can kind of complement what's going on, starting on at the corner of the post office, and then you got the 2 buildings the doctor's doing down on Dunlawton. You got, I think I saw just the other day, we're gonna have a new gas station, kind of a demo, and a new gas station on South Ridgewood down at the Marathon. Our corner's got a development order, which we have a pre-construction meeting on the 16th of August, I think. Olson Construction's under construction, so we just think it's like a lot of momentum going on that side of town, and we just want to participate in it, so we'd appreciate your support.
Okay.
We appreciate your willingness to invest back over there, Brendan.
Anyone else care to speak to the item? There being none, back to council. Comments, questions, final? Looking to my left, looking to my right, seeing none, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0, the Coastal Oaks subdivision plat and plans is approved. The public hearing portion of the meeting is now closed. Additional items, city attorney report.
None tonight.
Excellent report. Welcome back, Matt. City manager.
I do have a couple things. One, we were able to get an update on your question on the Nova Road streetlight. So staff had been speaking with FPL representatives as well, since they are the power source.
Okay.
And they did confirm tonight, it's nice of them after hours to respond to text. that they are aware of it, and it has been assigned to a crew, and that the persistent questions from the city of Port Orange have pushed this to the top. So just want to let you know that while you were talking, somebody was asking them for an answer, and you got that answer during the course of the meeting tonight from FB&L. So that was a positive. The other thing I want to mention is you mentioned it briefly yourself. The Riverwalk private project went to the Planning Commission last month and is coming to you in 2 weeks on the 15th. So the Bristol people will be here to do the full presentation. This is the zoning, the master development agreement, conceptual plan. So another, as Brendan was saying, another major positive step forward is that whole area is coming. So that's a big step, bringing the zoning forward on that property to you, and then other steps will come. And so as the staff makes that presentation to you in 2 weeks, you'll see that update going forward. One last thing, I do want to introduce our brand new IT director, Jim Faulkner, who is here tonight. So he started yesterday, and he's here to take us into the future. Very impressive, very, very highly recommended from the interview panel, unanimous choice, and very strongly supported. So we're looking forward to that. I think you'll see a lot of improvements as we go forward for hurricane preparedness and everything else. So glad he's here. Welcome him. And we're almost full with the whole staff now.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Excellent. That's all you got, Wayne?
Yes, sir.
With that, I am very much looking forward to that meeting in 2 weeks. There's a lot to digest between now and then and get ready for it. So if nothing else comes before this evening, all I can say is have a good night, everybody.